Hello everyone and welcome back to another weekly Poker Showdown brought to you by Party Poker. I'm your host Jaime Staples and I have a very exciting episode for you all today. I actually just got off a phone call with a long-time friend of mine, Jeff Gross. We had a great conversation covering, poker, his origin stories, how he got into it. Of course, the Mike Postel situation, which we talked about a little bit last week. We go in depth and give our thoughts. Twitch, we really got into it. So I think you're going to like the conversation that we had. We went over a live hand as well. We're actually trying a format this week where we're mostly doing the segments we were doing last week in that interview. So see how we like it this week is a little bit different. I would love to hear your feedback, so please pass it along wherever you are listening to this. So thanks so much for checking it out. Let's jump into the interview. With me today on the podcast, I have an absolute legend of the game, one of my best friends in the game of poker, a guy that I met around 4 years ago at a stop. And immediately when I met this guy, I was just like, there's something different about him. Like, he's moving, he's flowing, he's doing things, he's talking, he's making connections. And we've become pretty good friends since. We've done some projects like Streamhouse and Streamboat, where we sort of got together on Twitch. And now we're colleagues, members of Party Poker Team Online, and sort of we co-captain the team and run the team. So it's an absolute honor to have a legend of the game, Jeff Gross, on the podcast. How's it going, Jeff?
It's going well, man. It's great. Yeah, there's I got to say, true. I was thinking about that. I think it was PCA. I remember it was a long time ago, and Kevin was there. You were there. I recognize you guys from Twitch, and I had done a little bit already with it, but then we just started talking, and yeah, you can tell really quickly with people generally what their energy and vibe is like. I just knew, I was like, man, this is we're gonna do some cool stuff. We had stream houses, stream boats. We've done all kinds of different projects, and also I got to give you credit. You were the one that showed me YouTube. You said you got to do it, and I remember in Montreal, and I was looking at it. I was like, man, I don't know. It seems like such a grind. I was like, it's just like, I don't know. And then you were like, no, trust me, this and that. I feel like you're always at the forefront of you're ahead of the game. And also what I love about you is that you share. You got the 24/7 channel. You said this is how you do it. You set it up. You're an innovator, but you also you don't hold out on people. So that's why I like that, because I noticed that it's hard, and a lot of people got kind of selfish to try to get up to the top. And so anyway, just want to acknowledge you for that. And yeah, now we talked about doing a podcast, a joint one. Now I have my podcast. You got this podcast going. I think it makes more sense, right? It's hard. It wouldn't have worked, I have to say.
To do it at the same time, like, it doesn't work to do.
We're in different parts of the world. Like, it's already crazy to try to even schedule with one person. But
yeah,
anyway,
of course. And like, we talk about the team, right, and about our plans with Twitch and Party Poker and stuff like that. It's hard enough to like get connected on that stuff. So never mind doing an hour show or whatever.
Yeah, but here we are. Right. Now we're both on.
Man. We got the weekly Poker Showdown, and we got the Jeff Gross podcast going on. It's fine. Double the viewing pleasure. So yes, that's it. So you're in Nottingham right now, right?
Yeah, I am. I am just off the WPT, which again, you were the one. I wouldn't have. You said play the day 1 and 2 online, and I did, and then made it through, and now I came over here, and again, man, you see the future and the light. So yeah, I'm here, played it, didn't win it, but cashed and had a good run, and I've got knocked out by the champion. No, just standard tournament, same thing. So,
well, let's talk about those online day 1 and day 2, because this is a relatively
excuse me, 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Forgot my armor here. I got this. All right, there we go.
There it is. You patched up now.
Yeah,
perfect.
it was on the side. Okay.
So the online day 1 and day 2, it's a relatively new innovation. And when I heard about it, I thought it was going to change the game, because to me, I've done a lot of live travel in the past where I go to events, not nearly as much as you, but you plan out 7-8 days of your schedule. You book a hotel, you book flights. You're gone from creating content, creating YouTube videos, creating streams on Twitch for a long time. Like, there's a big cost associated with going to a live event. And that's for our life, but for a normal person as well, they have a job, they might have to book a week off work, they might have a family that they gotta, so it's a big commitment for a particular subset of people out there. And now with online day 1 and day 2, you can literally fly in for the weekend, and if you fly in, you're already in the money. So to me, that makes live poker so much more appealing, in that I can try and play all these events, play online day 1 and day 2, and on average maybe make 2 out of 10 make day 3, right? 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. And then those are the events I actually go to. So I think it's just such a great format. Do you think you're going to be utilizing the online day 1, day 2 stuff in the future?
Yeah, no, touching on what you said, I think personally it just makes a ton of sense for those exact reasons, that you save the hotels, you save the travel, and if you don't make it, you don't have to get a flight as well. And if you do make it, you skip 2-3 days of hotels, which is huge, whether or not you're content creating or a streamer or an online player versus someone just like, business, right? Like Bill Perkins or someone who might be say, hey, I love poker. I'll play online on a Sunday if I'm, free, and then I can look in the future and then come in for a day 3 where it's like 1-2 day in and out, maximum time of exposure of it makes a ton of sense. It's brilliant. I know Party Poker's they started it. They're doing the one for the November Bahamas as well. I think they've done it before, but the WPT, which is in existence since 2002, has never done this. So this is, it's revolutionary. It's going to make the buy-ins bigger. Sorry, it's going to make the prize bigger. Yeah. It's going to make, because now you get that extra online influx of the money. And I think it's great. I think the only real potential issue is finding a way to format it so it's fair. And not that it's not, because like I came in, I was maybe a little bit short. I guess it seems like they've got it worked out pretty well, but it's like getting that balance where it make the people that combine online and live, the stacks are congruent, and it's not you're too short or too big. And how do you actually time that out? It's a little bit tricky, I think. So we'll see how that gets integrated. And you might hear some people say, "Oh, it's not fair because it's online. It's a live tournament, and now someone wins that was one of the online guys, and they're getting to play behind a computer." You also don't see. You're not watching. We're streaming on Twitch, right? Right. So like people know it's us and we're playing, but all of a sudden you got like I'm just trying to think of possible scenarios that could get tricky. It's like, oh well, this business guy, some guy who's like comes into day 3 now, he has like an online superstar played. For example, that would be one scenario I could see where there could be some, because you're in. And again, I don't want to. That's good to discuss, right? Because
of course,
things are considering as well. But that's one potential thing where you could have that you're opening up that possibility for an issue. But other than that, I think if you weigh all the positives or possibilities of what's wrong, I think it's just like so overwhelmingly positive. Yeah. But there's a lot of good stuff to talk about on that.
It's a tough thing with the chips, because I played the online day 1, day 2 as well. I unfortunately busted pretty early, and therefore didn't go down to Nottingham this weekend. But it was 24-minute levels online, which is very deep levels online. That's an extremely deep tournament. But from what I understand, the explanation was that they've figured out how many hands per hour you get at each sort of live and online, and they've matched up to where you're getting the same amount of hands per level, essentially. But I still think no matter what, there's going to be fluctuations in like the live flights have more chips sometimes, and the online flights have more chips sometimes. Like it'll just depend how those fields play. But one of the nice things is that you have the choice as a player. It's like you can play online. If you think online has a nice advantage, then you can play online, or if you think live has a nice advantage, you can play live. It's up to you.
Another side, I'm just sort of actually thinking about is, all right, the 3,300, you could bust. I busted actually. I think we were at the same table. I lost a hand early on, had to rebuy, and then, so now it's like it's one buy-in, another buy-in, and then you could go to the thing, and like it could, like for example, the 10K November 3rd, I believe, is the day for the Bahamas one. So it's a 10K with a rebuy, and then I'm going to go to the Bahamas anyway. Like all of a sudden, it kind of gets to be where it could be a very expensive tournaments too. So like there's that side of it as well. But no, I think again, I'm like thrilled about it. Especially I have a newborn, 6-month-old child, family. For sure, it's like, all right, now I can tell my wife, like, instead of, oh, hey, I'm going to the Bahamas, in this particular case, well, I'll go, but let's just say I wasn't sure I was going to go. I could just come in on day 3 in the money, and that's a huge thing. And if I don't make it, if I go, it's like, okay, I save flight, save hotel, and that's that. So I think it's great.
Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about your Poker Origins story, which I don't actually know a ton about how things started for you. You know, like you make friends in poker, but like you don't necessarily have their whole backstory if you weren't there in the beginning. So, how did you get into poker? Like, what drew you to the game, and then sort of what happened from when you first started playing?
Yeah, I think I always like board games, video for my fifth birthday, and I was always playing games. So I was an only child. Played soccer with team, like being around people, and would play games with friends and whatnot. And then when it was actually at a soccer camp in high school, a team camp. From Ann Arbor, Michigan, went to University of Michigan for the camp. Some Craig Pfister, a friend of mine who was on the team, brought in these plastic chips, the ones you get from the gas the station, just like whatever. Moneymaker, I think I can't. It's all kind of fuzzy on exact timing, but I think it was like that summer. Maybe it was '03. I think Moneymaker won '03. It was like during that time. It's on ESPN and seeing it, and then no one knew anything. The button, small blind, big blind, position, bet sizings were not. I mean, not even. It wasn't even like a. I didn't even think about there could be a book on. For example, it was just like, all right, let's play, and the chips would go my way. Generally, obviously, we're talking about we didn't play a ton, but just I kind of feel like I got a knack for it. I just loved it, and it was like going pretty well. Did like fine with friends, seemed to win over more than I lost, and then I got $25. It's nice to be on Team Party Poker and actually be able to confidently say it was Party Poker. That was my first ever deposit. $25 to refer a friend. It's probably before your time. And then I got into really the main part of the story was I was playing 25 cent 50 online, and I remember sitting 6 max 25 cent 50 cent and with like $11, and I would play 2-3 tables, and I would get like $800-900 stacks at each table. Like I would start with 11 out of a 25 buy-in, and I would just play for like 8-10 hours, 3 tables. And I did this through my freshman year of college as well. I would stick in that, and then I kind of bumped it up a bit. But the real turning point was the affiliate program on Party, because I got refer a friend stuff. I signed up everyone on campus my junior year. I was getting like $4,000 to $6,000 a month from affiliate revenue as a freshman in college. And then they had a 20% sub-affiliate deal, and I got my other 3 roommates who were in a suite. I played soccer at South Carolina. They were 3 of my freshman roommates, and then I showed them how to do it. And then we took a spring break trip together. I mean, it was crazy, man. We had the plasmas and the thing we were doing. It was really wild. Like it was but that's how I got my role in the Party Poker affiliate program.
Yeah. What a wild world it was. Like, and literally 15 years ago. Like I remember I didn't really get into playing poker until I was around 18, but I remember like one holidays in Canada, and there was no snow. So it was just like so boring. And sitting around with my neighborhood friends, and like one of them was playing poker, and we were like, I don't know, 13 or something, but like he was just trying out poker and stuff. That was my first exposure, and it was like way back, like Poker Room, I think was the site it was on or something, like OG stuff.
It really is about right place, right time. You see these Bill Gates and being around the first computer, and then Nick Granyu and Antonio and these guys, Gus Hansen's on the World Poker Tour, Phil Ivey, and then it kind of they brought the series, the World Poker Tour is born. It's just like crazy. The shows, Poker After Dark, and just these guys became like superstars, and it was just it's just the perfect game. You just look at backgammon, chess, these other games are fun, but like it doesn't have all the poker's got the skill, the luck, the talking, it's got the it's just the perfect game for people that love strategy and competition. So I think it was. It's just cool to see how it's evolved.
If you had to break down your success, and now that you sort of mentioned it, in between sort of like hard work, because you work insanely hard, you're always going, always flowing, as you would say, right? You're in action, as opposed to right place, right time. Like that, there's clearly a balance. How much do you think that played a factor in where you are now?
Yeah, it's interesting because that saying, I really do love it. I think. And I say this a lot, and I've heard I think Martin Jacobson said it like during his main event run or his quotes, but like luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And I think that you really the harder you work, the luckier you get. I think that's just kind of obvious, but I mean there's some in my poker career, just some breaks or opportunities or things that have happened for sure. There's been fortunate stuff, but the one that stands out was doing a program in 2012 with. It was in Vegas. thing called Choice. There was kind of a lot of chat around this program because
Right.
you know, Antonio went, then Negreanu went, and then he was like, people are saying it's a cult and all this crazy stuff. But the reality is that particular program, Antonio won the one drop. He had just done it just before and was like finishing it around the time, and he really attributed a lot of his success to that movement. And it was like, it's, you know, I think it's about personal development. I think anytime you personal development course or work, whether it's with an Elliott Rowe or someone who does mentoring, or you take there's 100 different types of habits, whatever. I have a lot. I've had a lot to say about that, but that particular thing that Antonio Esfandiari said, he put me in he said, listen, you know, you're too connected to your phone. He always would make jokes. We go to dinner. It's 4 plus your 5 with your phone. Mochi, name my cell phone actually. So that's to give you an idea. And then he said, go to this thing. I'll pay for it. If it's not like one of the best experiences of your life, then don't give me the money for it. Right. He basically, that's how strong he felt that I should go to it and check it out. So I went there. He actually did the same thing for Bill Perkins and made him a bet. He said, if you don't love this, you know, I'll bet you that it's like, you'll love this. Okay. Right. So Bill went, and then we hit it off. Bill became, you know, one of my closest friends in the world. And it was crazy because I didn't know Bill from poker. I had never played with him. I wasn't, you know, aware much about Bill. He wasn't really into poker too much. He played some games or whatever. I mean, you know, I knew he liked poker and he was a very successful businessman. We hit it off, became super close. Then I started going to Houston once, twice a week, playing 200, 400 out of nowhere. Like I was playing 510 or 25-50 once in a while, some private games. And
is that through Bill that you started going to that game?
Yeah, that game. It was my buddy's game. Or well, now my buddy's game, but it was a game that Bill was in and then started playing there. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, his sessions were insane. These games were insane. I remember one session I lost to Bill. I had nines on the king 9 deuce rainbow. Bill had kings, like 190,000 pot. I lost. I still won like 60K on the night. Like that's how crazy the game was. Just insane. It was just a wild game. Yeah. And anyway, so that was like a huge break. But it was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't go to that course, if I don't meet Bill. Am I playing as high stakes? Is different? Everything's different. Same with Black Friday. Black Friday happens, online goes down. I thought it was the world. It's over. Like I was in New York City at my buddy's house. It's like, what the hell am I going to do? You know, meanwhile, I was like slightly winning, probably breakish even overall. I hadn't done in the game. The game gotten tougher by that time. Had some recurring revenue stuff coming in a bit, but it was like at the time said, this is so bad. This is the worst thing. How could this happen? What am I going to do? You know, into probably the best thing that ever happened. Started playing more live, started traveling more, got in shape. I was just out of college. Now I didn't have school. I didn't have soccer anymore that I had to do. I got kind of heavy. You know, I had no responsibility. I was just eating Chinese food, playing all day in beer pong for like a year. And then it was like, I kind of like snapped out of it and was like, what's going on? You know, so again, it's, I think not about what happens. And that's just another example of why, like, I'll just kind of say this to like the party poker, take away HUDs. You know, everyone's kind of on pins and needles. What's going to happen? Right. Party poker is taking away HUDs. Is poker going to stop? Is this going to ruin the game? Is you know, they're going to change the alias. We're going to, you know, got to do some contrarian, disruptive things. Things are not going well in the industry, and you got to try some things. People aren't sure. And now I don't even remember, like when I about it, I'm like, oh, this is actually cool. They have the big blind counter, and I'm just like, everyone's on level playing field. I don't have to worry about that this guy's better at using a HUD than me. Yeah. Because like I look at the basic stats and it's cool, but like, so there's like levels, right? There's guys that use no HUD, they're at a huge disadvantage. There's people that use a HUD probably not well, maybe put me in that category, that like can use it. I can see the PFR, whatever. But you know, then you got guys like Jungle Man and sorcerers that are in there. They're in their fucking turn bet, looking at a thing, and they're
statisticians, dude. Yeah, they know it all. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Now, you know, honestly, post this change, my results have been much better. I think I see you've had some massive scores. Like, yeah, is that enough to say, oh, that's why? No, but it's much more comforting. It's also less scary to the viewers. I think the people seeing when there's it's like the, you know, Goodwill Hunting's on the screen and there's shit flying around.
Of course, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's scary when you see it.
When I see Ben's like review shit with like for when he plays on other sites other than Party, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I honestly looks like it's like a, watch that. Now that I think about it, I'm really glad that it's probably net positive. And if nothing else, I don't think anyone minds, or whatnot. It's kind of cool. So
yeah. So your reaction to change is something that I think I'd like to learn from you, because change is hard, and we've had so much change in poker, and it just seems like your adjustments to sort of Black Friday, or your adjustments to sites changing, your adjustments in life, like you seem to bounce pretty quickly and make the most of it. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's also about realizing that, yeah, it is what it is. If you start dwelling on it, +2 farms, you want to dive into all this wasted energy and space. Like, it's good to be alert, aware, informed, but if you want to, do you want to do something about it? Do you want to say, all right, what now, and be first to sort of adapt, or do you want to just get caught up in the hoopla and just sort of complain, or whatever? So yeah, I don't know. I for sure, there's definitely times it takes a while to reflect or figure stuff, but I think you just have to realize it is what it is, and figure out how to the next part of the game. We're all in the matrix.
So speaking about drama, because we're doing a podcast, so we got to talk a little bit of drama, and we had potentially one of the biggest poker stories since Black Friday happening right now. I'm of course talking about the Mike Postle situation. Mike Postle, we covered a little bit last week, and when I first did the podcast, information was just coming out. The allegations were just coming out. There wasn't really all of the review and the discussion that we've had this week. Since we've had Doug release, 6 videos, Joey be doing 6 podcasts on it. We've had Matt Berkey looking into it, Andreas Froelich looking into, Jeff Boski, the insane amount of people looking into this situation, including ESPN, by the way. Yeah. CNBC. Yes. It's out of control, right?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. A lot of thoughts. I was actually mid-stream yesterday and started talking about this. It was I have so many things to say on this because it's crazy, and I haven't really got caught up in it because it's here for playing live, been streaming, child, wife. I haven't really watched a lot. I've watched clips. I've watched parts of it. I found myself on jet like 4:30 in the a.m. up for an hour watching Joey do this thing, and the things I've seen. It's the most. I don't want to pile on. It's a very interesting. It's like here's what I basically let me sum up what's going on. This is what is true, and I believe you can't argue this. There are now at this point, there's 2 scenarios only. There's no in between. The guy is the #1 poker player in the history of the world, of any format, any kind, any duration, by far. And as you can see that graph of like the pot ripper beach heater where he's at, it's the most obvious, blatant thing you'll ever see in your life. Okay. Or he's an absolute clear cheat, which is, if you made me make a bet, even money, I would bet 97% of my net worth, that something like that, if I had to bet aside,
that's the baby fund. You're only keeping 3% back because you got a baby you got to take care of. I'm 110.
Sure. I'm not sure. It's just the most obvious thing, like the hands, the lines, the reactions, how it's going down, how turn card, situations where he's got 2 pair and the turns, a clean brick. Like I remember the one that stood out to me, what I saw was like Queen Deuce he had on a Queen Deuce king board, and it was against Ace King and King 8. There was a flush draw. He's got like the dream spot. The turn is an 8 offsuit. It's like a brick of bricks, right? It's not like there's no reason someone should have King 8. No one's gonna have 8s in this spot. So if you're playing that Queen Deuce, bottom 2 is vulnerable, right? But that's as good as it gets. No ace, no king, no queen, no jack, no 10, no 9 even. It's just a random, even King 9 is possible. King 8's just this guy happened to have it because this guy's looked and he was wild player. But you saw the 8 come and he was upset. It's he was visibly upset and how do I slip the action? How do I get out? There's just there's a ton of them. They're crazy. They're crazy, sickening. It's the most obvious thing. The Crocs looking down, all this shit. It's hearing his brother talk about how he's looks for an angle. All this shit. It's honestly, these are ESPY award-winning content from Doug and Joey and who are all the other people on it and what's going on. It's just so. This is the part that's so flagrant. I was watching this at the Mike Matisow review, which Mike said he was high. It's kind of making a mockery.
Yeah, don't get high before you do a big podcast.
We're not just talking about like how he's doing it. Mike's got an interesting style to him though, and gets him a kind of comfortable. But the guy is so delusional. He's out here challenging Doug Polk, talking about playing Joey and PLO even. Now he's like, I want to stay under the radar, but I guess I think I'm the greatest of all time. Like, he's taking the absolute piss out of the community. Not only has he been caught, essentially, he's now mocking the community and saying, like, I can play. Because it's so stupid. Let's say he did play Doug Polk heads up. Best of what? 2,000? How many matches can you play? So he beats Doug, which is possible. It is possible with the Postle.
It's possible.
Because, it's possible. Because, what sample size? And what does that even prove?
Yeah.
What, you lose to one of the greatest of all time, and you are a cheater. So it doesn't prove.
That's offensive, dude. Because to me, it's just like he's not even taking it seriously as to how angry and how upset people are. Like, if this guy actually did what he did, which the evidence is overwhelming, he should never touch a card again. Right? Like, no one should ever play this guy at the game of cards again. And he's suggesting, and I even heard, some other people suggesting, like, play on Live at the Bike and prove yourself. To me, I'm like, no. That's way too soft. Like, you don't give the guy a chance to prove his poker skill in, like, 100 hands of poker. Like, no, he's done.
But here's the thing, though. It would be so obvious based on what we're seeing. Because here's the thing. The guy is navigating. Like, he literally has whole cards up playing poker, so he gets to do these bluffs, like the one where he bluffed in with Jack, tried to get jacks to fold, and the guy made a great call on him, right? Like, he was like visibly upset before he even saw the hand. The guy could have just had aces. Like, he was like upset before he even saw the cards because he's like, oh, how could you call? Like, what the, he didn't know what the guy had. What if he's got it, Like, it's just like he takes these spots and these lines that are so ridiculously disgusting and how he's using it. So, like I said, if we're wrong, we all owe him an apology, and I'll say Joey made a fun statement, and I'll do the same. I'll put an apostle out on my Twitch channel. I think we all should in the poker community. We should start every single broadcast show acknowledgement in poker across the world. Apostle is the greatest. We should get the kind of Ivy, Helmut, Antonio, legendary Dan Coleman Jungle Man status. He should be enshrined in a huge written apology for anyone that ever doubted him, the whole world in poker. Or the guy should go to jail, pay back the money, and be outed and whatever. And it's just like, I'm so adamant about it. And again, innocent, yes, but like, it's up to him now to prove he's not. And I don't know how that's even like what goes down, but it's just so obvious.
There's
shit ever.
There's two like main pieces of evidence that I think are very important. The first is obviously just seeing the hands. Right? Like, every poker player, like all the great poker players, have come out on Twitter and been like, this guy is not straight. So I think there's two pieces of evidence here that are really important. The first is the way the hands played out. And if you look on Twitter, like Hilaire Bob, Daniel Negreanu, Scott Seaver, Doug Polk, Joey Ingram, Matt Berkey, everyone's just like, this doesn't make sense, right? Like, there's something wrong here. Now, I don't think that would necessarily hold up in a court of law, because they obviously can't go through poker logic, but it's very obvious to all of the top pros out there, like, this is not how people play. The reads that he is making are not possible. They're impossible.
Right.
Can't do it. Right. Like, something's up. So that's the first piece of evidence, but, it wouldn't be admissible in a court. The second piece is the win rate, which I think is the most important, the math of the situation. How many big blinds per 100 he's winning at in that game. Like, how many sessions he had in a row winning, where he's only lost one since he allegedly started cheating. He's only lost one session out of like 30, So the win rate at which he was winning at, it's mathematically almost impossible. So those to me are the two most important pieces of evidence. And I think you're right, Jeff. Like, it's on him now. Like, that is enough to me to where it's just like, without any doubt in my mind, that he's guilty of this. So
I mean, I want to understand. Like, I think it'd be interesting to understand the what's at stake here. Like, let's just say when he gets caught, assuming that we are all not insane and we just haven't seen a phenomenon here, like, does he go into jail? does Stone's liable for the 250 or whatever? Does he have to repay every hand or people that's lost money on there, or is he sued for that? Is Stone's liable? Also, is that, you know, it would be someone on the inside, right? Like, obviously the guy that looks, it's kind of obvious who the guy might be, or what's going on. Like there's that whole, that's another part of it, right? But someone would be it's not just him doing it. Like, he's got someone do it. So, like, what happened? You know, like,
it could be just him, though. I mean, there's been some talks. I had a guy in my Twitch stream earlier that said you're able to scrape the RFID data before it goes to the production. So it could have just been him. You know, I saw Doug sort of say, like, something's weird with the commentators. For me, I haven't seen any evidence at this point to lead to anyone else in the production. You know.
Well, so shout out to Thirst Lounge, but I saw Casey and Fat Train doing a fair amount of the commentary. My read, not even insinuating or talking like they thought or knew something was up, but how Casey, like, they looked skeptical. Like, some of her comments
Casey
were
looked
like
skeptical all the time.
Casey was like, what? Like, not like, wow, he's so good. Like, wow, like, this is not right. That's like my read on. She felt that something's fishy, you know?
Yes.
So that's like how she was commentating to me. Like, what the heck? Like, this isn't normal. This isn't even like godly. This is like sketchy. Yeah. That's like how I felt she felt.
Plus, like, if you're in the booth, right, you know, and you're like Casey and Fat Train, and like, you're a good poker player, but you're focusing on commentary. Like, you're hyping up the spots. You're not just thinking about like how likely is this to be real. So, like, if I did commentary for 2 sessions, there's no chance I would be like, oh, this guy's cheating. I'd just be like, oh, this guy plays crazy.
Right.
You have to zoom out and look at the whole amount of data before you can be like, oh, there's something obvious.
The whole thing about the getting that footage of, like, the guy saying my brother always looks for an angle and talking about how he basically was cheating on the wheel. Like, the fact these guys that are like it's pretty ridiculous. Like, the whole thing is just sick. And, you know, I think at some point you find, like, people that are I don't know the right word. They're so delusional. They're so lost. They're so deep in these lies, compulsive liars and, like, manipulation. Like, you go so deep into believing and pushing this thing to the max that you're so deep into it. Like, at this point, though, like, that's kind of the thing. What do you expect? What's the guy supposed to do?
Yeah.
Until he feels there's irrefutable evidence, he's got to run with it. Like, what's he going to do? Go on Mike Mouth's podcast and say, hey, got me, guys. Sorry. Like, it's like he's so deep into this thing. He's like backed into a corner. Like, what's the guy got to do? Like, he's probably looking at all the scenarios, assuming he's guilty. Like, he's probably looked at talked to lawyers. He's seen what's happening. He knows his worst case scenarios, and he's like buying time. You know, maybe he's trying to whatever. So, assuming that he is, but yeah, man, it's a wildly. And also, I think it's important to talk about poker. This is like, the longer this goes on without some sort of conclusion, it's not, the whole thing's not good. You're on SportsCenter, casual viewer. You're seeing these games you watch. Maybe you found your way to Twitch, YouTube. You see these whole card things, and now you start questioning, wow, you know, so this guy made a great call or fold or whatever, and it was on TV. Is he real? Like, you start, these doubts come in. People, think about the people that have played with Pasta. They must be outraged. Just like, what the hell? This is Stones. We trust them. This is supposed to be integrity. You know, same thing. I played on several RFID cash games, big games and stuff. Like,
for sure,
it starts making you wonder about hands, and it can, like, kind of throw off the dichotomy of what's going on, and it's very concerning. Like, there needs to be an answer in something, because of course there's cheating. There's stuff that happens. Like, anytime there's big money and stuff, like, you know, that's why Party Poker Stars, these companies, they have to, you know,
they invest a lot
and to make sure the integrity, and there's some sort of, you know, there's been all kinds of stuff that happens, but it's like poker has CD, you know, it's got negative connotations associated to it. I think the more you celebrate great players, great personalities, great play, you know, great skill of the game, it's great for poker. But then these are setbacks. These are definitely these aren't good. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, well, it's telling that this is the biggest story that I can think of since Black Friday. You know, like, it's got the most press, and it's unfortunately a story about someone cheating. You know, which is such a shame. You know, and it's something we in the game need to figure out how to create some notoriety and create some interest outside of you know, the bad guy criminal.
Villains,
as a you know, as exciting that is to the average person. You know, I just want to touch on one moment before we sort of move on from this, which is I think you're right, Jeff. Who's liable here? Because if I had played at Stones and I would have lost 3,000 to Mike Postel, on a live stream, I would want to get my money. Like someone would have to pay my money because I got cheated in the game. And Stones has a responsibility hosting a game to protect its customers. It's making an assurance. It's using them for entertainment on a live stream.
Yeah, think about how much and they say, there's a saying, there's no such thing as bad press. I mean, listen, Stones, the Aria, Dusk Till Dawn, Playground Poker, and the Hard Rock,
and the Bike.
Name a few others. And the Bike.
Yeah,
that's it. Stones is up there now they're like, everyone in the world in poker knows Stones. So they have a lot on the line too. Like they must be sweating bullets. But if they somehow can get out of this or prove that he was, like, it's like there's a couple scenarios. One, he wasn't cheating. Probably 1 in 100,000, something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy. He was cheating and doing on his own, and there was cheating and an alibi.
That's what I hope for.
Those are sort of like, now you start breaking down what percentage is that. And there's a lot on the line there for Stones, because if it was someone inside, this and that, like how that all shakes out in court, even so, maybe they're still in trouble. Like, because and then it's like, what do they do? Because in theory, I don't know how big an operation is. Like the Aria MGM, they just paid 800 million, 700 million from that terrible tragedy in Vegas from the shooting as like to So it's like, is Stones, they're not at MGM, they're not a massive, like, do they have 250 to shell out or whatever it is? Probably, maybe, I don't know, like their operation, the scope, but it's like, could it sink them?
Yeah.
They can't just, like, if this comes out, he cheated or there was a worker involved, it can't just be like, sorry, and like give him, buffet tickets. Like they got to like pay everyone back and go. It's going to be a massive nightmare to sort that out and go through who lost what, how it went down, and deal with it.
It's all in video. It's all backlogged. So I guess it's easier than some situations could be. I saw a tweet earlier this week, and I forget exactly who it's from, but it scared me a little bit, which was asking about, how much should the Nevada Gaming Commission charge people to host a live stream to cover their liability? So essentially the idea is just like, there needs to be more regulations on live streams, and you're going to have to pay to have a license to be able to produce content about poker. And to me, I really hope this situation doesn't ruin the ability to create content around poker, in Nevada, in California, around the world, because I think that's our only shot at this game sustaining itself over 50, 100 years. We need to have content on Twitch. We need to have content on YouTube. And, of course, TV, but TV is on the decline, right? On Instagram, on Facebook, on Snapchat. Like, this is essential to the game surviving over the long run. And if there's a huge barrier of entry to creating content about poker because of one guy cheating in this game, I don't think it spells very good things for our industry in the long run. So I hope to hell this doesn't happen.
I want to point that out as well, because I think we've both had frustrations on this, and I've seen some weird tweets from some top pros that I just don't think get it about content and how important it is for the game.
Yes.
Like about going there, and I saw like even I think it was Ike Haxton, who I respect as a player.
Yeah, we're teammates, but like I disagree with his point on this.
Yeah, he said something about like he made like a really nasty comment about someone slowing down the game or something about content shouldn't do it. But guess what, Ike? You are a sorcerer wizard, one of the best players in the world. Do you know why? You know who you're getting to play with? Because of Triton, because of these different party poker, the content, the vlogs. I'll say this, Doug Polk, very controversial, right? He's very, it's either you love him or hate him kind of, and how he is and how he goes about it. I enjoy his videos. I think he's hilarious on his edits and stuff. The one with the rounder stuff is just, it's just too good, his stuff. But, I'll not forget when I got into YouTube, you had told me about it. You said kind of show me a couple basics. I remember just like not knowing what I was doing, hopping in there summer of 17 or so. Mm-hmm. I brought my video camera, my vlog cameras, World Series 1500 event or something. I'm at the table, super wreck, obvious guy on a break, or like right when I'm there, maybe I'm there for 5 minutes or so. He says to me, he's like, I probably had like 10 videos out, 5 or 7 or 10. It was new. I'm new to it. And he was like, hey man, how's it going? He was like, that's so cool. I was like getting ready. I thought he was gonna say, I love your video. Like I love your work. This is like brand new on my stuff. And he goes, you know Doug Polk? And I was like, I was like, yeah, man, I know Doug. And he's like, that's the reason I'm here. And he's like, I hadn't played poker in 3 years. I saw some of his videos. He came from, San Diego, was there at the World Series. Guess what? People that think content isn't driving the traffic, like, you could be a top pro. I think you kind of see people getting it. But the point of that is, this guy who was not going to be in the community, not playing an event that probably is, drawing, he's got, he's donating to the
He's there for
field.
fun. He's there for fun.
Yeah. He's there because he saw a video from Doug. Like, I respect the people that do content in poker and stuff. And I think me and you, we fall in that, you could argue, I don't think many people do more content between podcasts, twitching, YouTube, vlogs, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And I think it's sort of starting to feel the industry respect that and get that more, cause like, are me and you the #1 players in the world? No. Are we worked hard on our game and our craft, and we put a lot of time? At the end of the day, man, me and you could take 10, 20, 50 hours a week that we're putting out content, and I could sit and go into the PL streets. But for the whole of the game, for my betterment as what I'm trying to build and I can not speak for you, but I realize I'm sacrificing some spots, and there's times where I could be more thorough, or there's only so much time in the day, but I'm putting out content I have a path, I have a vision on what I want to do. I also believe it's net positive for the community. Yeah. I know you feel similarly, if not the same, on this. And I think it's like you start seeing the respect of some of the guys that, like, maybe these guys are jokes, or how are they patched up? How do they have deals? Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's what's driving the game. So this is very important. And same like Running Up Reno or other places, they're doing innovative stuff. And you got to respect and understand a casino. Like, when they say, there's no cameras and stuff, yeah, they're blanketing themselves because of shit like this. Like, imagine, in the World Series or at Party Poker, 5 mil, 10 mil, you're deep in a thing, you got a vlog camera, there's a device, you're talking to the guy, you're showing your card. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're covering themselves, and there has to be some protocol, whether you have a license, sign a contract. Like, there has to be, can't just be everyone can go and be on their phones and watch hands and film shit. Cause like, this is exactly like all the times you look at them, like, and I'm like, man, like, come on, really? You're not gonna let me vlog in here or do something? It's like, well, this is what they're preventing. This is a nightmare for this type of stuff, this exact situation. And, and again, a lot on the line and how it's resolved in the future of it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, like, I was really the poster boy, I think, of that change, if I'm going to be frank. So I signed my first professional contract about 5 years ago, and I was playing, like, $20 and under tournaments and selling action to higher tournaments at the time, So, like, I signed with PokerStars at the time, which we were teammates for a while there. And I got, like, all the hate about this idea of, like, this guy sucks at poker. I was just like, hey, I'm all right at poker. But, like, yeah, I might not be on your level. Like, I'm not firing all the 215s at the time. I don't have a huge 6-figure win. But, like, I got hate for years about this idea. Like, Joey Ingram actually led a lot of that hatred of just like, this guy isn't very good, and he's signed by this company, and this is the death of our game, And so that was like, I think the poker world has gone through that shift. And sort of, myself, Kevin Martin sort of followed after that for a long time too, where he got the same sort of hatred in his world. But I still think there's this particular segment that is not all connected to content at all. They just play poker. They love poker. But they couldn't care less about YouTube or Twitch. And, like, I'm not watching Twitch streams in my free time. I'm not watching poker vlogs. I make my own stuff. Like, that's not how I'm choosing to do my entertainment. So I get their mindset a little bit of, like, why does anyone care about this stuff? But the game will not survive if we don't adapt modern medias. YouTube vlogs and YouTube conversation pieces like what Doug Polk does is the high stakes poker of today's day and age. That's what's going to inspire a generation of people to play. So poker pros better get on board. Poker sites better get on board. The industry better get on board, or else I don't think this game is going to last very long. So anyways, a long way of saying hopefully this possible situation doesn't screw things up for that. Because
and I don't even know what the greatest... I don't know what the scenario, the rundowns, the best case scenarios are. Like, it's just so far, the longer it drags out, the likelihood that it's even possible to be legit, it's like, it just goes down. But it's like, at the same time, it's sort of, you start getting anxious a little bit because you're like, everyone's combing through the footage. You start seeing these things where he's looking down, he's doing this, how he does the more hands, the more crazy folds or straight flushes, he's just calling with nut flushes. and shit, you know, like it's where the board's paired or whatever. It's like, you know, you start realizing, and then you start thinking, you start getting angry because you're just like, wait, this is so clear, but how, yeah. You go to court and you have the best players in the world say, yeah, look, he's definitely cheating. It's like, it's sort of messed up, you know? It's like, how do we actually, like, what's going to happen? Is there a way to prove it specifically? Because until there's something that's like, oh, look, or, you know, that hat, he's like, oh, bring my hat. Okay. I get another Under Armour hat or whatever. Like, what the, like, it's just like, there's like, until there's actually, I think that's what he's going on. He's like, you know what, at this point, there's just nothing that can specifically catch me. You know, he's sweating the footage that there's somehow not something or someone doesn't break or whatever. It's just, it's crazy, right? Because it's like, yeah, how does this actually get resolved? What happens next? Does he go to court? Is there actually like a court filing? Like, you know.
Well, Stone should have more video angles as well, of like being able to look down. You know, it's obviously they have more security than just the live stream footage. I'm assuming they have, you know, eye in the sky sort of footage of the situation and stuff. So hopefully, you know, that investigation is fruitful. I wanted to ask you about this because you obviously you've played in a lot of private games, you've played a lot of big games. You know, that the knowledge is not necessarily public. I'd love to hear some crazy stories, but I imagine you can't really tell all of them. But do you think you've ever played in a game where something was off, or heard of stories of like, oh, there's this game in LA and you don't want to play there? Like what's your experience with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely, I think it's you're naive to think that even for the fact of someone, there's like a chance that someone's played together, like you've been in a game where two people are at least working together, or there's, you know, the RFID stuff is scary. Those type of things, you start worrying, you know, thinking about that, because that's another thing that I think it does sort of shed the light. You start really, like, you start getting paranoid about this stuff, right? Now you're like, this is not good. But yeah, no, I mean, I've heard of stuff and been, you know, not just heard, been pretty sure there's stuff that's happened in either games I've played in or people I know that have played in games. So, you know, you that's the kind of beauty of a casino though, right? I think that's one of the things people go and play at places like that because you don't want to have to worry about that. You know, in a home game, you kind of are open to understanding the risk that there isn't cameras, there isn't you know, even getting paid, how it all goes down. Like, there are some inherent risks with those type of games if you're not really clear on the people that are doing it or how it works. Like, there's just a couple extra things to consider in a home game. When you're in a casino, there's the chips on the table, you get paid out at the cage, don't have to worry about that. There's cameras, you believe that everything is on the up and up, and that's sort of you know, you pay a rake or you pay when you play, and this is sort of a implied security you have. So I think you know, that's why it's all the more significant when it's at a place like this. You hear about a home game, someone's cheating or marked cards. It's like, all right, yeah, you know, it can happen. And if you don't trust the people, you don't know the people, and there's stuff going on, then, you know, that's more likely. But that's why it's so rare you hear about actually stuff like this, and why it's so serious and needs to be handled in the most serious and timely manner. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this party poker news. We've got a new promo coming out, Millions for Millions. Have you seen this, Jeff?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to brief people. So the Millions Online is running $10,000 buy-in. I mean, it's fair to say you're going to be in there, Jeff.
Yep. I will be there.
I'll be in there as well. 20 million guaranteed. But there's this new promotion where Party Poker is giving away thousands of $109 tickets. So it's one of those things where basically there's daily challenges. And then if you play in the daily challenges, you can either enter a shootout, so a luck-based format to basically maybe win one of these 109 satellite tickets, or there's a free roll, which allows you to play and try and win one of the tickets. So yeah, they're giving away over $1 million, I think.
Yeah,
in these tickets. Strong. Like, yeah, essentially, huge promotion. Millions Online. You ready?
This is, I mean, I didn't play last year, so this is going to be my first one.
We couldn't play last year. It was one of those things we had to see in our Twitch channel, but obviously we were patched up with a different company, so we had to avoid, like, oh yeah, there's this massive online tournament going on that we can't talk about, but now we can. So here we go.
I'm ready to rock. It's going to be, especially, you know, those are one of those few ones that are like super special opportunities to do something historic. So.
Well, they're life changers too. Like, there's a lot of situations in poker where you get in a fun spot, like it's not really going to change your reality, but one of the most addicting feelings to me and exciting feelings was when you get in the spots where your reality is going to change, and it comes down to you making good decisions, and it's the turn of a card. And this is one of those tournaments where you can bink off a couple million in an online tournament, which is pretty sick. Yeah. So I just want to let people know that's going on. I also have a hand here, Jeff.
And I'm sure Taylor will call. See a flop here.
Yeah, king 6 of diamonds. Good looking hand. Well, he's currently at 3, but I don't think he needs to do this with hands like this. I think there's much better candidates than king 6. But let's see what happens.
That's because we know Darryl has nothing.
1-7.
All right, so we got Taylor on the button with ace 10, Taylor in the big blind with king 6, raising the button and a 3-bet from Taylor with the king 6 suited. It's a good hand to do this with, right? King 6 suited.
Yeah, it is a good hand to deal with. It's also a hand for Darryl that's sort of awkward, right? It's like you have a very strong hand, but it's like you realize the situation. You're either super piped or you got a guy who's making him play. And it's sort of difficult.
Well, you can definitely call on this board, Queen, Jack.
Okay, Queen, Jack. I mean, can hit Taylor and Darryl, both of them. This is reasonable. I would say maybe Darryl a little bit more than Taylor, who is going to choose to call 3-bets with like king queens and queen jacks and king jacks and stuff like that. But
Taylor continues. It makes sense, and he definitely got to continue. He does have the backdoor straight and flush draw plus. I think he's just he's got to bet here. You just can't check when you make this move pre-flop on this flop. So he does go ahead and bet and get called.
Darryl floats.
Talking defining pot. Wow, if you go for fish, it gives him an open ender.
Taylor's got to shut down here, right?
A lot of danger out there, though.
I mean, that's such a bad turn.
Checkmate.
I would think so too.
Always looking at the chips.
Yeah, and then you start thinking about his value 3-bet hands. What he's really just gonna be blasting off with here. So he does give the check over to Darryl to give him control. Paired board, open-ended. What do you like from Darryl?
Beat all the bluffs.
I think Darryl can get some better hands to fold by bluffing at some point. It seems a little thin to go to showdown.
And well, a comfy river for him with
9 on the river.
I like seeing that.
Very comfortable.
All right, Darryl checkmark.
Got 4s or 5s.
Has the best hands. Is he going to get there?
Taylor's got, he thinks maybe check down value if his opponent's got.
Interesting. Yeah. So now Darryl.
He remembered what happened before.
Interesting here. He has ace high. I guess what does my opponent have? What am I beating? So I guess he's turning his hand into a bluff.
I think Darryl is trying to bluff the same hand. Wow.
Whoa!
Oh shit! I didn't see him. Okay, the board double paired.
What a play by Taylor!
Oh yeah, I was thinking.
This is incredible, Mike.
I totally missed that. So sick.
He does lay it down.
Wow, what a line.
Darryl bets. Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
Burns time chip.
I think just going through street by street now. King 6 suited 3-bet pre-flop is good, right? Darryl calling with the ace 10, like you said, like you don't love it. You're not suited. You don't have a lot of playability, but like you kind of have to call, or else you're just gonna get run over. Flop, we see the bet and the call. Now the turn is where it gets interesting to me, because I think like Taylor is done here at this point. Like it's just a very scary board for Taylor. Darryl can have a queen, Darryl can have a jack, Darryl can have even like a king 10, a 10-8 suited, can still have some slow played big pairs. Like it's a spot where you're just in a lot of trouble if you're Taylor. So I like the check.
Yeah, I think you have to think about what hands did you 3-bet pre that now on this texture you can just go for it, right? Are you 3-betting aces for value? And I mean, you're 3-betting aces pre, you bet the flop, get called. Are you just going to shell off aces on this board? Mm-hmm. And are you going to shell off kings? So it's like hands that you're 3-betting pre-flop, ace queen that you would bet, and then
ace queen, king
so
queen suited, maybe.
What are you repping here that you're not scared of? That your opponent does have king 10 suited, does have all the queen X suited, jack X, jack 10 suited. It's like that are going to be loving their situation. So I think it's a really interesting. This is a crazy hand. I totally, that action on the river. I mean, did we not get to see it?
Hold up. We're still in the turn, Jeff. 1 sec here. Okay. Darryl with ace 10. Do you like Darryl's check with ace 10 on the turn? Because it's queen, queen, jack 9. Darryl floats the flop. with maybe the best hand. And now on the turn, he's got the open-ender. He's got ace high. But does he have enough showdown value to just check here as opposed to maybe bluffing his ace-10? What do you think? What do you go for?
I would probably... I think I would bet because your opponent gives up here he gives up the lead. I don't think you're really going to get raised ever in this spot. And you get ace-king. Like, ace-king's in a shitty spot there to, like, peel. Also, he does have the suited wheel aces that you're just going to kind of get to go away. Which
small
you're ahead
pairs
of,
as well if he 3-bets those.
If he checks the turn... I mean, when he does decide to check the turn, though, I don't love the bet on the...
Yeah. Okay, so we go to the river, and we see a bet from Daryl. I mean, why? There's no point to the bet. Like, the only thing you're getting with this bet is maybe getting other aces to fold, which they may or may not. They might call here as well, expecting the chop. So queen, queen, jack, 9-9. Ace-10 bets on the river. A jack is never folding, like never. Especially with how this hand played out. Obviously, queen or a 9 isn't folding. You already beat small pairs like 6s. So the only thing you're accomplishing here is getting other ace-x to fold, I think. That's it.
Right.
But
I'll say the other side of that, though, it's such a weird line all around. It's interesting to think what your opponent might have. Did he get counterfeited? Does your opponent have a pair?
What do you think of Taylor's shove?
I think he basically decided that, queen is the nuts. Would Daryl check back a queen on the turn on that board? If Daryl has queen king, right? If he has
king 10, if he has 10-8, if he has any queen. I find it very difficult to believe that Daryl would check back a queen.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super interesting. Yeah, exactly. What queen would he check back?
So really what Taylor needs to be worried about here, if he's going to be worried about anything at all, is that Daryl has some sort of 9 hand where he has 9s full of queens and he might be able to find a call. But if you think about, the range pre-flop of raising, calling a 3-bet, calling a c-bet, we're not looking at too many hands here. Like 9-10 suited.
9-10 suited.
9 jack suited. Yeah, so it's one of those spots, Jeff, that I miss, I'm sure, all the time because you really have to go through in depth and be like, wait a second, piece it all together. But when we have it slowed down here and picked out as an interesting hand, it's pretty simple to be like, oh yeah, right, he can't have it, so bluff.
Yeah, it's cool. But, at this level, too, these guys are very, very accomplished, strong players with great results. Like, they're also very capable of doing some unconventional things. And there's also history. There's also, ICM, pay jump, whatever's going on. I don't know if they're heads up in this spot. Is it heads up or is there 3-4 left in this tournament?
I am not sure, to be honest. So, I'm not sure. So I got the hand sent to me, so this is my first time seeing it. Yeah,
there's all these things to consider. But very, very interesting hand, that for sure. I might try to work some sort of situation like this somewhere. This is definitely cool. So, great. Daryl Fish had a lot of success. He's done some crazy stuff at the Hard Rock. Winning top 3s and like these WPTs and great results. Looks like here in Montreal as well. He got either 1 or 2nd or deep. So, he's been putting some time in.
Like, I don't like the river bet, but I'm firing no shots. Like, Daryl Fish, much more successful than I've ever been at the actual game of poker. So, clearly a guy that knows what he's doing, and I'm sure he had his reasons for deciding to bet there on the river.
And I think those are sometimes there are spots where we've done it. I've been especially on stream where it's visible. Like, there's been flops and stuff where I'm like, I get check raised on. I'm like, man, I know what the book says, and I know I just like for whatever reason, or I just like, all right, I shouldn't have done that, and now I got punished and put in this spot. It's like, and you're just like, why? Why did I do that? And so, I mean, that happens to everybody at some point.
I think there's something that I can tell the audience out there, Jeff, that's going to help them against you, because I've figured this out against you, Jeff. Okay. And I think it's an important factor. Anytime you're in a hand with Jeff Gross, you need to calculate the FOMO factor. Okay. How much is Jeff feeling the fear of missing out? Because if he's got an extreme fear of missing out factor, you might have some bluff opportunities. If Jeff has got so much going on that he's fully in the moment, like he doesn't have the fear of missing out, then lay off, because he's gonna catch you in a bluff. So you got to calculate the FOMO anytime you're in hand with Jeff. That'll help you out.
That happened to me last night. I was that 5:30. By the way, I have not played. I've seen the Party Poker Phase 5:30, which is a sweet tournament. That got a great prize pool, really good structure. I was deep in that yesterday. It was it was about 5 or 4 something in the morning though here, which is pretty brutal for the on this side of the world. But I made a little bit of a unconventional maybe shove on deep in the money on that one. And yeah, you're right. You gotta know the mood. I think on Twitch it's apparent. Like if someone's watching the Twitch, especially towards the end of a Sunday or of a stream, when they maybe only have 1 or 2 tables left and you only have 1 or 2, you can really feel the mood of a streamer. You can tell if they're in there to grind it to the end, if they're looking to really go deep, or if they're looking to mix it up, and it can be a little telling. I think there's there's no question we give off a little bit by streaming.
Of course, we get some too. I mean, we didn't talk about this earlier, but I think it's worth noting. Like of course, there's a lot of rewards for creating content and streaming as well. And I feel like if people sort of really knew some of the rewards that are available, more people might try it, because it's a nice industry, and it's a nice thing to do. Like it diversifies your income from poker, and don't get me wrong, like it's not all boo-hoo, people don't like what we're doing. That's not what we're saying here. But I think there's 2 sides to that coin. Okay, right. So last couple things to touch on here. Obviously, you were just at the WPT. You're in Nottingham now. Devilfish Cup. It was before you got there, I believe, Jeff. The $5,000 buy-in, raising money for charity and sort of honoring a legend of this game of poker. Raised $60,000 for charity. Richard Trigg, who is a name that I've seen around a lot. I've played online with him for a lot of years. Ended up winning the thing. So congratulations to Richard Trigg, and $60,000 raised for charity. So great thing there by Dusk Till Dawn and WPT, all the collaborating parties to raise some money there. Simon Brandstrom as well, the man that knocked you out of the WPT, Jeff. Simon Brandstrom won the WPT main event UK for $330,000. He also won a WPT Deep Stacks in Barcelona. So he kind of just like back-to-back shipped 2 events, European Player of the Year for WPT right now. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, I played with them. One of those guys I could tell pretty immediately. I think he knocked me out in 37th, and he came, I think, from like 65 down. He was at my table. One of those guys you could just kind of feel his presence, knew what he was doing. He was on my direct left, so like got in a couple small blind, big blinds where I would limp. He would 4X. Like, it's like one of those guys. You just knew he was playing the game. You saw him making moves, and then just kind of knew he was tough. Like he was making plays. So it was. Anyway, he won. That's cool. Good for him. I'm happy. It's nice to go out to the guy who knocks you out, actually, and deep down it is, even though
you lost to the champ. That's the most honorable way to lose.
You need to add that to your your boards, to like losing to champion.
Losing to the champ. That's a great achievement. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Hard to follow up with that a lot, probably, but you could, for big ones, you could take a look. Yeah.
The big one. Yeah. Maybe Gladiator or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, we've been talking for a long time. I know you got to catch a train down to London, get back, see baby Joseph, Amelia, family. Your life goes on.
I was on FaceTime with him right before you called me, man. It's so funny. Like you can see, because phone, like they can process that it's the phones. Like, and I feel sorry to interrupt you. My tangent on this too is the phone. It's crazy. Like you can tell kids. Because like nowadays, everyone's on their phones. It's just how it is. You're on your phone. You're around. Like that's something I'm really trying to work at. Do work, be around, and then just be totally present. Because when you're with your kid or around, and you're on the phone, like they see that really. Like they're wondering what the hell is this thing? Because like you're with them playing, or you're around, or you're at dinner. You're saying they see you on this shit, and they're like, what the hell? Like they don't know what it is. Like why is this thing getting attention? Like they want to play with it. They want to touch it. Like they don't get it. Like what the heck? So yeah, I can't wait to be home. It's crazy. I hate being away.
Yeah, man. So before I let you go, what are you doing in life? I mean, plug some stuff. Let people know what's going on, where they can catch you out. I'm sure this will be some people's first introduction to Jeff Gross, like maybe at least 5 out there. So let them know what's the Jeff Gross story.
the Jeff Gross Poker across the board, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, a lot of stories, a lot of content, highlights. I started the Jeff Gross podcast as well. So it's a separate channel on YouTube, and now it's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, everywhere. So that's fun. I'm enjoying that. Have a podcast with David Hay coming up. That'll be fun. The boxer. He's actually really into poker this week. Keeping busy all across the board. You can find me, Jeff Gross Poker, and then I'm going to be streaming more often now that I kind of got settled in. Job with Party Poker was a lot of change, a lot of learning. It's been kind of hectic times. Got a new house, and I had my first child. So yeah, been busy, been exciting times, and look forward to continuing to learn and grow with poker content and broadcasting, the whole deal. I love it. I love poker, and like I said, I want to make it the best chance that the game. I want to shed good light, make it in a positive way that I know it is, and want to keep that fight going with you and others, and putting out good, informative, entertaining content. And yeah, that's you can find me anywhere, all those platforms. I'm ready. I'm going.
There it is, man. There it is. Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to me, Jeff. I appreciate you taking the time. We'll get you back on the show soon, no doubt, and talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jamie. Pleasure as always. We'll see you soon. And what's the next time we're going to see each other? We got to figure this out.
I mean, we talk daily about the party poker stuff anyways, dude. Like, we got digital sight lines. No worries.
You're right. That's right. It's true. All right, man. See you.
Thanks later.
Thanks, guys.
Big thanks again to Jeff Gross for having that conversation. It was a lot of fun. I love talking to Jeff about poker and the business world of poker as well, and like creating content. We could just talk all day about things, and of course touching on the Mike Postle situation. So would love to hear what all of you think about what we talked about, as well as the format. Do you prefer this over the other format? I would love to hear from you. Before I let you go for this week, we got to touch on the contest we run on this podcast, hashtag JSPokerHero. So first we have to go back to the previous winner. So we had the username T. Chorany, who was our Poker Hero of the Week, playing in the 320 Gladiator. They finished 231st out of 831 players. They won $197.50 in bounties. A little bit short of the money, but at least they got $197. And of course, they got in by winning a contest. So pretty good, my friend. Now, we had a contest this past week where people had to send in photos of places that they were playing poker that were particularly interesting. And we were using the hashtag JS Bath Time, because John Duthie tweeted out a photo of him playing poker in the bath. So people sent in some photos of particularly cool places that they're playing poker. We saw some toilet poker. We saw some beach poker. We saw some amazing countries going on. I have chosen a winner, and my winner is Loso Poker. At Loso Poker, you are the winner of a $320 Gladiator ticket. So please send a PM to Party Poker on Twitter, and they will credit your account with a ticket, and you will be playing this Sunday representing this podcast. So best of luck, my friend. I'll be railing and get it done. Okay. By the way, the tweet, which you should check out. It's an amazing photograph. It's really good. Sarajevo in the morning, writing some emails for work, then we'll fire up some fast forward games on party. Hashtag JS Bath Time. So yeah, you got the plug-in for the fast forward cash games. Like, you're doing good work, my friend. I didn't choose you because of the plug. I chose you because of the beautiful photo on the river in Sarajevo, a place I haven't been to. But yeah, I mean, bonus points for that, I would say. Before I let you go this week, we need to announce a contest so that you can hopefully be the next hashtag JS Poker Hero of the Week. So I want you to guess, using the hashtag on Twitter, JS Poker Hero, how many people are going to be in the big game. Now, the big game is a $5,000 buy-in tournament on Party Poker. It's coming back for the first time in a long time this Sunday. So I want you to guess how many people will be playing in that event. True story, I got an opportunity to play the big game. The last time I ran, I think like around 5 months ago or so. One of my favorite streams ever. I want to satellite into it. It was awesome. So how many entrants is it going to be? It's a huge buy-in tournament, so don't guess like 1,000. It's going to be a relatively small amount of people. So keep that in mind. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. I really appreciate it. Subscribe wherever you're listening to this, or follow, or whatever you do to make sure you know about the next one. Pass along your feedback. I'd love to hear it, but that's going to be it for this week. Until next week, we'll see you later.